The Chevy Sprint. About the lowest priced car on the range.
Have fun.
I'm John Byer, and this is the beginning of my road trip. April 2021. I'm about 54 miles out. I'm on Route 6 going through Tillamook Forest. The car seems to be doing all right. I've got more weight in it than I've been testing it with, which is probably on me. I need to move quite a bit of weight to the front right, I think. The tire is starting to rub in the back. Basically just going up hills because I'm shifting that weight back. I think I'm close enough to be able to make that difference. And we're back down to 1,000 feet. The Sprint is doing pretty good. We got caught behind a couple of convoys and had to, a car with more power would have been able to get around them, but it took me three turnouts to finally get to the leader, and that was a charity case. Oh, one of them threw a fucking cigarette butt out too. That's bullshit. I got his picture. I'm gonna blow him up on Facebook. No hard feelings, but I mean that's literature. Yeah, see what I mean? And it smells like plastic. I think it's hitting those fender flares. With a Dremel I could cut them right out, but I didn't bring a Dremel because that's just too much weight. If you carried every piece of rescue gear you might need in a whitewater emergency, your boat wouldn't float. Plus, there's a high probability that I may be walking away from a non-functional, even if temporary, version of this car, and I'm not leaving tools in the car. That's why I didn't bring an impact gun or a drill. A more reliable car, like my truck, I'm going to bring a mobile paint studio and recip saw, and whatever happens, happens. Crashing the road. Alright, yeah, so today I left Portland here after 9. I'm going to get to, I took a quick pass through downtown. Basically because I haven't seen it in like 2 years because I've got no fucking reason to get down in that shithole. It didn't look as bad as everybody says it does. And it looked like there was a new Old Town bar, I guess, that opened up on Burnside and maybe 4th-ish. I mean, businesses are open. How bad can it be? I can carve this corner because I've got all my weight on the inside. It's just like fucking NASCAR. This is nothing. It can do this all day long. That speed sign said 50, I'm doing 60. Now this one, same sign, same 50. Let's back it down to about 40. That's what weight distribution does. I don't want to blow up on my memory just chatting to myself, but I'm going to try to get in the habit of making more videos like this. If you happen to be watching, let me know what you want to see. Toyota back there on the side of the road is abandoned and smashed up. It looked like it'd been picked pretty clean, but I found a cup holder, so I decided to take that with me. I checked my tires and checked my fenders. It didn't look like it was rubbing horrendously, even though I could smell burnt plastic in the car. So I just took my pocket knife and just kind of chiseled some out. I'll take a picture of how much I cut off later. All right, the car is fully disheveled. Let's see how long it takes to get to bed without getting out of the car. What's that? How much time was that? I got a bed. I guess I need to prove it. That will do. All right, looks like getting towards the end of the progress we're gonna make day one. My wheel bearing started sounded pretty dry. Started growling towards the end of the day, so I stopped into a mechanic shop to see if they could repack it real quick. They were booked 2 weeks out, so I stopped at another shop, and they were booked 3 weeks out. So I decided to hit up a Le Schwab. They said that they if they could pack it, they could do it tonight, but if they couldn't, they'd have to get the part for a new bearing, and they'd have to get it first thing tomorrow morning. So I've decided to get off of it and call it a day. So I filled up with gas. This thing is getting 29 miles per gallon. Well short of its advertised EPA estimate. I'm hanging out in the parking lot of some park, staring at the back of Smokey the Bear's ass. I don't know where I am. Sprint seems to be doing all right. I think I'm going to trim the fenders one more time. It's sitting a lot lower with this much weight in it. I'm carrying too much water, but I would need those water jugs for the desert that I'm going to. But I didn't have any empty water jugs, and I couldn't bring myself to pour out perfectly good water, so here we sit.
All right, this is the beginning of day two. It's about 6:20 in the morning. I didn't sleep super great because yesterday I took a nap for like 4 hours, so I wasn't super sleepy. But it wasn't too bad. I stopped at, I guess, the Dunes Visitor Center or Park or whatever until it got dark, and then I headed back over to Le Schwab and stayed in their parking lot. I got lit up by a spotlight in the middle of the night, I couldn't tell if it was a legit cop or not. It looked like the taillights were an Explorer, a newer Explorer, but I couldn't. Apparently I was close enough to being in the right where they didn't care. Last night I had to take care of some business, and it was just a hair too late to do it at McDonald's. So I went to Safeway, but on the way over, my door flung open and my bag of oranges came loose. I found 2 of them. I played like Easter egg hunt with the light bar in the middle of the night, but I'm gonna go take a walk today and see how many more I can find. One of them did this. I think she's still good. I think the mechanic's getting here at 8, and then the car will be in there for I don't know how long, so I'm going to try to get some breakfast and try to do everything I need to do first.
All right, we're back on the road. Car's running great. It's about 11:30 I pulled out of that Le Schwab. It was exactly what he told me it was going to be, even though he got it started a little later than he wanted to. Had some $2 biscuits and gravy at the gas station nearby. Went to a thrift store, got a couple of things that I forgot, toenail clippers and a comb. And I did lose quite a bit of time, so I was planning on coming down the coast and then over into the forest, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. I think I'm going to come back over to 5 so I can make a little bit better time. The last gas, they dropped the waypoints for the rally point. But apparently gas is going to be an issue on this, and the way I've calculated my mileage with my gas can and with a sizable margin of error, I feel comfortable going about 300 miles between gas stations. So I definitely want to fill up right before I leave the town called Willows, before I go into the woods. After that, who knows what happens. But yeah, to get to the rally point, I'm going to have to go through Willows anyway, so I would have to cut across the mountains and then backtrack. And the only thing I'm missing by going this way is more coast road, which is on the route for the way back if it happens to stay the same, or if I make it back. So I've got about 30 miles or so until my next turn, which is someplace close to 5, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'm going to get off here and just drive for a little while because I need to chill out. Been sitting around all day. All right, I made it to 5 and filled up at what looked like pretty much the last gas station before the state line. The car started overheating at around 4,000 feet in elevation, but it's warm out here. I started the heat and it knocked it right down, so I'm just gonna let it cool, and as soon as I get to the top of this pass, I should be all right. I figure this will be either the worst of it or it won't, and I'll have to fucking do something else like shed some hood weight. We shall see. All right, just rolled into Willow. The car was doing pretty good on the interstate. Eventually it flattened out and I was able to just find a spot under the dashboard to jam my foot so I could just rest my leg on it so the car would keep going even if I lost consciousness. Basically it was binary throttle, 100% on for the past hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. Just got into a town called Willow, filled up with gas. Apparently it's 44 minutes by offline maps to our campsite, and this is supposed to be the closest gas to it. I'm estimating my range at about 300-ish miles, and that includes the extra 20-liter can in the passenger footwell. I did the numbers. This is the third time I've filled up. I was getting 29, 29.1, and 28.2 miles per gallon. So this thing came from the factory in 87 with an MPG of, I believe, 48 miles per gallon. So that, if anything, just tells you how shitty this thing is running. It's miserable. I'm going to screw around with the distributor cap. Maybe I can advance a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go gambling. One more thing. When the car overheated, a really neat thing happened. What caught my attention was a little light on the dashboard. That let me know it was overheating. I looked at the gauge and it wasn't hot, it was just warm. It was overheating. When I got this car, the instrument cluster didn't work and I fixed it with aluminum foil. So it's really nice to have a full suite of working gauges. Yeah, a little update about the car overheating earlier. Yeah, I guess that was just on that one pass. I took an exit and ate an orange and let it cool off for a little while. I don't think my fan's running. It had previously been running 100% of the time, even though it doesn't look like there's any funny business going on with the wiring. So I'm thinking it burned itself out, which, because even when I get off the interstate now, the heat still works. And before, that would just nosedive. It would just be like jumping in a pool. So I guess I should look at that before I go into the woods. Anyway, the exit that I pulled off of, there was no re-entry, so I had to get on Old Highway 99. Ended up getting over this place, like this overlook, and taking a couple pictures. I'll post them. It was a nice little detour. I think it's important to take a break and slow down, so listen to the universe. Okay, looks like it's at least a fan. I took the, and I didn't put it back on. I took the harness back off the fan and put a test light on, turned the key on, but I couldn't get it to start. But I thought it ran all the time, but it might not be thinking that it needs to trigger that. So that didn't really tell me as much as I thought it was going to. I used jumper wires to jump the battery straight to the fan motor with both polarities, and it didn't turn. So I'm thinking there's our culprit. Good thing it's going to be dark soon. And we're back on the road. I opened the GPS to see where an auto parts store was. It suggested the O'Reilly's that was over my left shoulder. So I drove off the curb, pulled a U-E in the bitch lane, and got the only fan. They had two. They had two fans in stock in the entire store. They had a big one and a small one. I opted for the smaller of the two. It took 3 zip ties. It took 50 minutes from the time I recorded my mileage at the gas station to the time I pulled back out into the highway after changing the radiator fan. 50 minutes. And $70 fucking. So, oh, plus tax, because California. So this gambler budget, yeah, might be a little behind. So I paid $350 for the car, and I've got about another $200 in tires and wheels, and probably by now maybe $100 in random knickknacks and shit. I do not count spray paint. I'm not going to limit an artist's medium. But so yeah, I figured if your budget is $500 for a gambler, you can't run 10 gamblers and never do any maintenance to your car. So the way I see it, you have to add some to the budget for each gambler, and it's gambler 500. So I'm gonna say I can spend $500 to my budget. I don't necessarily have to spend it, but I can spend it without busting, without technically cheating. That's how I'm prancing around the rules. Okay, turns out I'm still overheating. I just pulled over and pulled the thermostat, and when I took the nut that holds the bottom part of the wing, the air cleaner, onto the manifold, I realized that the carburetor is loose on the intake manifold. So I think there exists the opportunity for an improved driving experience as soon as I can figure out how to get that off, tighten it up, put it back on. I've got the thermostat out of the car. I've got the fog light, or the light bar wiring harness set up for the fan so I can keep control over it, because I can't trust the automatic circuit. So I'm going to keep it off for now, use my low beams and or just my high beams, and then keep an eye on the gauge. If the gauge starts to you know, rise, hopefully it could be stable, but it's not going to try to stay on its own. So I don't know. I'm going to get to camp and figure out what we can fucking do. Don't really want to spend all day in the woods running out of gas and overheating. We'll don't know. I have to keep you posted.